Praise the Lord, everyone. Get right into the word. I'll be coming from St. Luke, 10th chapter, starting at the 38th verse. The topic today is Choose Jesus Today. Choose Jesus today. Now it came to pass as they went that he entered into a certain village, and a certain woman named Martha received him into her house. And Jesus had a sister called Mary, which also sat at Jesus' feet and heard his word. But Martha was cumbered about much serving, and came to him and said, Lord, dost thou not care that my sister hath left me to serve alone? Bid her therefore that she help me. And Jesus answered and said unto her, Martha, Martha, thou art careful and troubled about many things, but one thing is needful, and Mary hath chosen that good part, which shall not be taken away from her. The Lord gave me this subject early May. He actually dropped the song on my heart. It's a very familiar song. I'll give my life tomorrow. I thought about today, but it's so much easier to say tomorrow. And I was perplexed when that song, dropped in my spirit, because, that's usually a song you equate with the sinner man giving your life to Jesus. And the Lord showed me where this song relates to me. He showed me how there are days when, I'm fasting and I'll quit the fast because something, will happen that will cause the fast to be unnecessary. Instead of, staying focused and putting in the effort, I'll just give up then, and then I'll put it off for next week and say, I'll do that tomorrow, I'll do that next week. And how He'll give me a mind to read my word, I'll do this real quick, then I'll read my word or I'll pray, and it ends up like I'm not able to do it because, I do one thing, next thing you know, my day is gone, And so He showed me how, you're constantly putting me off as if you're going to live forever on earth. And your tomorrow is not promised. And how He's coming back soon, and some of us are going to face death, so our days are even shorter. And so He was telling me how we need to choose me today. Choose to give your life to me today. Choose to spend time with me today. Don't wait. Don't put me off. Verse 41, and Jesus answered and said unto her, Martha, Martha, thou art careful and troubled about many things. So many of us are just like Martha. We are so consumed in our careers, our education, our jobs, our relationship with our family, that we forget about the most important person, which is Jesus. He's the most important person in our life, and we need to show Him that by putting Him first, by making Him our top priority. And of course, all those things are important, but we shouldn't be so consumed that we forget about Jesus. Verse 42, but one thing is needful, and Mary hath chosen that good part which shall not be taken away from her. Mary understood what was necessary in that moment. This was an opportunity of a lifetime, And of course, you will always have those things, but right now, choose Jesus today while you have a chance. No, we have to make time for Him. You can't fit Him in whenever, because more than likely you're not going to fit Him in at all. And so you have to make time. You have to sacrifice your job, your lunch break. You have to sacrifice those quality time you spend with your family. You have to sacrifice those, those things that we do. And at the end of the day, none of these things will matter if we miss out on Jesus. We don't want that to catch you wanting, and you're not ready. So we have to make time. We have to start building our relationship with Jesus today, because only what you do for Christ will last. So starting today, choose Jesus. Amen.
Praise the Lord, everyone. Praise the Lord. You're going to find me in 2 Kings chapter 5. And I'm going to skip around because it's a lot of reading. So I'm going to start at the first verse and pick up at the 8th verse. 2 Kings chapter 5. Now Naaman, captain of the host of the king of Syria, was a great man with his master and honorable, because by him the Lord had given deliverance unto Syria. He was also a mighty man in valor, but he was a leper. And I'm going to skip down to verse 8. And it was so, when Elisha, the man of God, had heard that the king of Israel had rent his clothes, that he sent to the king, saying, Wherefore hast thou rent thy clothes? Let him come now to me, and he shall know that there is a prophet in Israel. So Naaman came with his horses and with his chariots, and stood at the door of the house of Elisha. And Elisha sent a messenger unto him, saying, Go and wash in Jordan 7 times, and thy flesh shall come again to thee, and thou shalt be clean. But Naaman was wroth, and went away, and said, Behold, I thought he would surely come out to me, and stand, and call on the name of the Lord his God, and strike his hand over the place, and recover the leper. Are not Abana and Pharpar, rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? May I not wash in them, and be clean? So he turned and went away in a rage. And I'm going to just skip that. And I'm going to go to verse 14. No, 13. And his servant came near, and spake unto him, and said, My father, if the prophet had bid thee do some great thing, wouldest thou not have done it? How much rather then, when he said to thee, Wash and be clean? Then he went down and dipped himself 7 times in Jordan, according to the saying of the man of God, and his flesh came again like unto the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. Excuse me. And for a subject, my talk is going to be dip in Jordan. And we see Naaman here. He has these accolades. He's a master. He's honorable because him the Lord had given deliverance unto Syria. So he seemed like he got it going on. But what changed everything was that Naaman was a leper. He was unclean, and we know that leprosy was a disease at that contagious. And contagious disease, and then it was often incurable. So Naaman has leprosy, and I just remember when the Lord had given me this. Sometimes you find yourself in a place where, as Sister Jeanette said, you put God off a lot, and when you putting God off, you're adding things that are not of Him, and therefore leprosy is a type of defilement. So when you putting God off and you're adding on other things, you're becoming defiled spiritually. And as the Lord was showing me this story, Naaman, he's everything going for him, but he was a leper. And sometimes you've been spiritually defiled, or may be spiritually defiled. God is saying, dip in Jordan. Now, I'm trying to just get this out without, running into each other. But, so the Naaman, I'm just going to get into it. Naaman, they sent the messenger to him and told him, he said, go dip. But Naaman, he wants to be stubborn and he wants to have some great big thing to happen when it takes obedience first, then faith. If he had just went on, just do it. Be clean, go wash, be clean. But he went away in a rage. And as the story goes on, he's offering up Abana and Pharpar to go washing. Why can't he do those? Those were greater than Jordan. Jordan was known to be a more of a filthy river. So he tells him to go dip, and Naaman gets upset, and he's in a rage. And then so he turned away, went in a rage. He said, "Wash and be clean." Okay. So excuse me. You've been spiritually defiled. Cleanse yourself. We gotta cleanse ourselves. Sometimes we find ourselves in a predicament where we are just unclean. You can't serve God any type of way. You have to watch what you have to be careful what you let yourself see, what you let yourself hear, who you accompany yourself with. Because they might have a disease spiritually, and it's gonna rub off on you. You gotta watch your company, watch what you look at, watch what you say. The song says, yield not to temptation. The second verse says, shun evil companions, bad language, disdain. Watch what you say. The scribes and Pharisees are complaining to God in Matthew, talking about what defiles a man, and they're complaining your disciples don't wash their hands before they eat. And the Lord let them know at the end of it. He said, it's not what goes in the mouth that defiles a man, it's what comes out. What you let yourself see, like you hear them say, the eyes are the gateway to the soul. That is very true. What you let stuff gets in your spirit and it makes you dirty. You gotta keep your garments clean. God is saying, go dip in Jordan. Listen. You can't just serve God any type of way. And as we come up in this ministry, I'm learning. Your heart's got to be right. Your attitude's got to be right. Your disposition. And you think about how he said Naaman to go wash. He's too busy complaining. Trying to offer up a different way to be clean. When God has already sent the word, he said go dip 7 times. Just go be clean. And then Jordan represents a river of life. When he told him to go dip in Jordan, there's a reason that he chose Jordan, other than the other 2 rivers. And then, better yet for ourselves, we've got to learn to lay aside, to cast off. That Lord, if it's not conducive to the holiness, that we put it off, that we let it go. Learn to let go. And then I was thinking about how toward the end of it, it says, he went down and dipped himself 7 times in Jordan, according to the saying of the man of God. And his flesh came back into him, the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. You know what that represented? Spiritual rebirth. Because some of us are dead. And I can speak for myself. There's areas in my life where I'm just dead. But you gotta cry out, Lord, wash thou me without within, purge with fire. You think she mentioned, Sister Peterson mentioned yesterday in the exhortation, if the dishes and the clothes and the washer could talk, they'll be hollering. You gotta go through your process to be clean. It's not gonna happen overnight. Some things, we have bad habits. Spiritually, we have bad habits. We gotta let them go, but it's not gonna happen. You got to take action. Had Naaman not gone, he would have never been clean. Take action, Lord. Wash me without within. Purge with fire. If that must be, no matter how, it's only sin. What's the other song said? 'Tis so sweet to trust in Jesus, just to trust his cleansing blood, just in simple faith. It's not gonna just happen overnight. You gotta take action, Lord. Be clean. Wash in Jordan. Dip in Jordan. And you gotta stay clean. So keep dipping. Keep dipping in the areas where you need to come up higher. Keep dipping in the areas where you just can't see no above. We struggle with things as people of God. I can speak for myself. I struggle with things. But you know what? You can't just be like, I struggle with this, so it's just going. You can overcome. He said his flesh came right unto a new child, spiritual rebirth. You can be clean. You can be made whole. Wash and be clean. Wash and be clean. You can't just stay like this. God has sent the word. Do you want to be made whole? All you got to do is take action. It's simple. Wash and be clean.
Lord, Jesus, hallelujah.